Yeah, good morning, every one of you. Let's start this unit 3, which is drying of solids, or more preciously, we can call as drying of wet solids. So, drying, what is the drying? We have to discuss entirely in this one. How many, what is the mechanism of drying? Some, what are the definitions of various moisture contents which are existing in drying process? Everything we have to discuss. And what are the dryers? Okay, the classification of various dryers depending on the nature of the solids as well as depending on the heat supplied to that solids also we have to discuss. There are many practical applications for the drying process, right, ranging from the very big industrial operations to the agriculture process operations. Everything will apply this drying process as a drying as a mass transfer process. So drying is both mass and heat transfer process. So the contents which are there in this unit 3 is classification of dryers with the nature of the substance as well as type of heat transfer. We have to classify two types of dryers based on its nature of substance as well as nature of the heat transfer. Whether adiabatic or non-adiabatic, whether it is applicable for sticky materials, whether it is applicable for some slurries, okay, what type of dryers we have to use depending on the nature of the solid as well as the type of heat transfer we have to use that one. Then the next topic is principles of drying, heat transfer in dryers. Okay, what is the principles of drying? What is its principle? What is it lying behind? Whether it's purely mass transfer or whether it's a purely heat transfer, we have to define in such a way what's the process exactly going on. So heat transfer in dryers and mass transfer in dryers, we have to see this one in the principles of drying. Then what is the equilibrium moisture curves? Okay, for every operation there should be some equilibrium. There should be some phase equilibrium. Okay, whether it may be a humidification operation, whether it may be a drying operation or absorption operation, everything will have a equilibrium or a saturation point or a maximum capacity point it should have. So here also the same equilibrium moisture curves we have to study. Then the next topic is mechanism of porous substance drying. So mechanism. Okay, what is the mechanism of porous substance drying? There are two types of solids out there. One is a non-porous and other one is a porous substance. So how this drying process will take place in the porous substance, how it is differentiated from the non-porous substance. The drying process is differentiated from non-porous substance, whether it may be a capillary diffusion or whether it may be a simple gas diffusion or a liquid diffusion or due to the pressure induced transport. Okay, this many mass transfer operations are there. So what type of mechanism exactly it is going on in the porous solids as well as a non-porous solids we have to see in this topic. Then calculation of drying time under constant drying conditions. So under constant drying conditions, what are the drying time, how the drying time can be calculated, what is the constant drying conditions, I will just tell you. Then the drying equipments, so various drying equipments are there. So like the equipments are tray dryers, rotary dryers, fluidized bed dryer, spray dryer, drum dryer. Okay, there are many types of dryers are there. The classification, in the classification itself we come to know how many types of dryers are there depending on the substance, depending on the heat transfer. So among that classification, only this around 5 6 dryers, 1 2 3 4 5 dryers are there for your syllabus. So we are going to discuss them in detail. The next one is calculation of drying rate constant. So how to calculate a drying rate constants and the heat duty of the dryers also we have to see. So because drying is a more mass transfer and heat transfer operation, so heat transfer duties, heat duties, everything will be coming to play a major role in this process. Then the last topic is drying of non-porous substances or shrinking and case hardening. Okay, these two are the difficulties when we are drying for non-porous substances. These two difficulties like shrinkage, case hardening, this we have to discuss in detail. So the contents are there like this according to your syllabus. So I would like to first tell the topics, what are the principles, what are the various definition of drying I will give, then what are the various moisture contents which are present in the solid I will give. Then afterwards we will see the principles of drying and principles of drying. Then we will go for calculation of drying, various drying periods will be there, constant drying period, falling drying period, then afterwards how to calculate the drying times. Then after completing all this one, mechanism of porous substance and mechanism of non-porous substance, shrinking, case hardening, then finally we will go for this one, calculation, classification of dryers. Then it will be easy. Okay, so I would like to first tell you what is the definition, what are the principles behind the drying, what are the various moisture contents which are there in the solids. So let us see what is the drying. So how it is different from the other unit operations, what we discussed in the mass transfer operations 1 and what we discussed in the mass transfer operation 2, unit 1 and unit 2. So for example, in the earlier unit, we are concentrating on the humidification. So how it is different from the humidification? So in humidification, what is happening? Some water content is there. Then outside, right, there is an air stream is there. So in that humidity, we are denoting as some X. Then we are calculating how much amount of water or water vapor which is present in kg of air. So now here what we are doing in the humidification, we are concentrating on this air, okay? How the humidity of this air is changing from some x1 value to some x2 value. So entire concentration of us will be on the only air stream only, okay? Regardless of a water, what is the humidity of air initially, what is the humidity of air finally, we are just calculating. We are concentrating majorly on the air in the humidification. In humidification, then what is the difference between humidification and this drying? Now drying is, for example, here some solids will be there, some solid component is there, okay? This we have to dry. So how we can dry? So we have to supply some external aid, which is air. Here also it is also air and it is also air. So in order to remove the moisture content or the water content from the solid, this water content has to transform into the air. Here also this water content from the open stream or a free stream of water, it is moving towards the air, but our concentration is entirely lying on the air only. But here our concentration entirely will lie on the solid content. Initially, what is the moisture content in the solid, and finally what is the moisture content in the solid. So our concentration is in this one only, from initial moisture content of solid to final moisture content of the solid. So air, so this moisture content, so whatever the moisture content which has been transforming from initial to final, so left out moisture content will be just absorbed inside this air. So here also the moisture content in between this one, so that will be the moisture content, the water content or a liquid content is absorbed in the air. Here also the moisture content, water content from the solid is absorbed into the surrounding air. But instead of concentrating on air here, we are concentrating on solids here. So from x1, so moisture content of initial moisture content of solid is this sum x1, and final content of moisture in solid is what? So that is a question mark here. Here the question mark is initial content of air is, moisture content of air is some x1, and what is the moisture content of air is the question mark here. That is a problem here. Here the problem is what is the moisture content of solid initially and what is the moisture content of solid finally. That's the question mark. That's a question here, major question or a problem here. So in order to do that one, how many types of moistures are there inside this solid? Okay, that we have to differentiate types of various moisture content. So before that one, types of moisture content. So this is the difference between humidification and the drying operation. So I hope you catch the point here, humidification and drying. The problem statement is clear for everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So humidification and drying is this one now. So other unit operations like here, see, drying is nothing but removal of water content. Nothing but removal of water content. So water content in many mechanical unit operations as well as heat transfer operations also, you have seen many operations which are removing the water content from the solids. Okay, for example, in the mechanical unit operations, you have seen the filtration and then centrifugation. Then the heat transfer operation, you have seen the evaporation. Okay, this is in HT, you have seen evaporation. This is mechanical unit operation, you have seen centrifugation. This is also mechanical unit operation, you have seen this filtration. So all this process, so all these three processes are also removing water. So their main aim is, all the three process main aim is removal of water only. But how it is different from the drying operation, we have to know that one. Okay, here the common principle in every operation compared to the drying is same, removal of water content only. But in the filtration also, if you see, some suitable filter will be there. Okay, as such, we will send the water or some liquid content plus solid content, and finally the liquid content will be just passed out through that mesh, and after passing out, solids will be retained on this particular filter. Here also in the centrifugation, based on some density differences, whether it may be a centrifugation or something else, based on that one, on the top some solids will be there, and it is leaving behind the water content. Here also solids it is separating from water it is separating. Here in the evaporation, what is happening? So some suitable evaporator will be there. In that evaporation, you are applying some heat. So water will be there, inside some solids will be there, like concentration of juices. So here you are giving some heat. Because of this heat, the entire vapors are coming out. The water is removing as a vapor here. So if you notice the difference between all these three operations, so in all these three operations, the water content is very high. Water content is very high. Okay, in order to concentrate the amount of solid, we will use this one, or separate out the solid content from the liquid content we will use. In all this operation, water content is very high. But in the drying, what happens? According to the definition of drying is okay. Drying is removal of relatively a small amount of water. Small amount of water or other liquid, whatever it may be, whether it may be a solvent or something else. Okay, whatever it may be, it can be removed, but it should be present in very trace amounts or a small amounts. Okay, other liquid. Okay, from solid material to reduce this content, reduce the content to some satisfactory value, some acceptable or satisfactory, whatever it may be, acceptable value or low value, acceptable low value. So here in the evaporation is the heat transfer operation, and mechanical unit operation like centrifugation and filtration also removing, separating out water from the solids only. But here the huge amount of water content will be there in all the three operations. From that huge amount, using some heat or using some mechanical means, we are removing, okay, using some pressure difference or something else, we are applying the pressure and removing the water from this one. We are sucking out the water from the solids. But here the absorption of water content from the solids will be in a very trace amounts. The solids, the moisture content or the water content or the liquid content, whatever it may be, it will be present in very small amounts. Okay, small amounts of water will be present in the solids. So because of this, this drying is differentiating from, because of this reason only, drying is very differential compared to this operations like filtration, centrifugation and evaporation. Okay, then there are many examples of evaporation, drying. So drying is usually, if you see, drying is a removal of relatively small amount of water or other liquid from solid material to reduce the content to some acceptable low value. Okay, usually this drying will be the final step in any type of operation, in any type of industry. Drying will be the last operation. Okay, before the packing only, this drying operations will be performed. Like many example, like a sugar. Okay, after converting into a crystal form, a final trace amount of moisture will be removed from the sugars using some drying operation. So in this, what we call it, the spray milk, powder milk. Okay, milk powder. It is also one example. In this, initially to concentrate a milk, solid contents in the milk, we will use evaporation or a condensation operation. In this one, evaporation will be used. After concentrating the solid contents in that milk, so that will be passed through a spray dryer. Okay, after passing through a spray dryer, that milk will be converted into some milk powder. So that is also example for this drying. Okay, there are like this many examples are there. Usually in every stage, in every industry, drying is the final operation. Okay, final operation before the packing of any product, drying is the final operation. So that's what the difference between various other unit operations and this drying operation also. So drying is a mass transfer process consisting of a removal of water or another solvent by evaporation from a solid, semi-solid or liquid. So this process is often used as a final step, production step before selling or packaging product. So in the most common case, a gas stream, air applies the heat by convection and carries away the vapor as humidity. So the product that contains no liquid is called as a bone dry. So whatever the product which is containing no moisture inside that one is called as a bone dry solid or bone dry material. Here, according to this definition, drying can be happen in the solid materials also, in the semi-solid also, in the liquid also. Okay, but here we will concentrate only on the drying of solids, drying of wet solids only. We are not concerned about this liquids here. Okay, this chapter is entirely belongs to the liquids, this solids only. Okay, wet solids only. So plus there are many examples for the drying operation. So right here, if you can see this pictures here, so bone drying, the drying of this fishes, the drying of the wheat, drying of the mirchi or chilies, whatever it may be, the drying of the clothes, everything will be coming under the example of this drying only. But what we concentrate here is a little difference here. Only on the solids we are going to concentrate here. How the mass transfer and heat transfer is taking place from the solid to mass transfer is taking place from the solid to surrounding air, but heat transfer is taking place from the surrounding air to this solid. So that we have to see here. So through vaporization of that particular liquid from the solid to that gas is the major part which we are concentrating here. So examples, let us see here. So examples and applications of various drying operations. In this, the first example is milk is dried in spray chamber to produce a milk powder. Okay, before sending it to the spray chamber, the milk will be concentrated with respect to its solid content. So that is nothing but an evaporation operation. After performing an evaporation operation, the final operation to concentrate this milk into the powder, so that is a drying process. So milk drying process is also in a spray chamber is also one example of the drying process. Then drying of leather under controlled conditions using a leather process in a leather processing industry. So drying leather will be usually animal hives will be usually dried. Okay, dried to remove all the moisture content, and it will be just processed. Okay, tanning, everything will be happened here. After that, it will be safeguarded for the long period of time. So that is a tanning process, everything. Then in the last stage of sugar production, washed and centrifuged sugar crystals are dried to get a final product ready for packing. So as a final product in the sugar preparation, so this is a final operation, drying operation. Then afterwards, it will go directly to the packing. This sugar will be going directly to the packing. And also the soap production, in the soap product preparation of a soap, the drying of a soap bars is also a final. So okay, after this soap bars are dried to the final satisfactory moisture content, we will be sending this to the final packaging operation. So these are the four popular examples for this drying operations, drying of solid operations. Here, the one another example is also there for the drying, which is removal of water only. So dehydration of a gas. Here, the major concentration is on gas. Okay, removal of moisture from the gas by absorption and desorption, adsorption of the moisture is also called as drying. So the best example for this dehydration process is from the natural gas. Natural gas is nothing but the methane gas, so CH4. Okay, large portion of this natural gas will be occupied by this methane. So in purification of that natural gas, what happens? So in order to remove the moisture content inside that natural gas, so a triethylene glycol, it will be just made to come intimate contact with this triethylene glycol, so that the moisture content will be removed by absorption inside this triethylene glycol. This process will be carried out in a tray tower. So this is the absorption operation here. So that is also coming as a drying operation only, removal of moisture from the gas here. But here, according to this unit, we are concentrating only on removal of moisture content only on the from the solids only. Then next example is air is dried by the adsorption of moisture. Here it is, you have to note the difference. Here it is absorption, here it is adsorption. So moisture in silica gel. So silica gel packets, if you have purchased some phones or some electronics devices, what happens in that boxes, you may be noticing this one, silica gel packets. So this silica gel packets will be added in order to capture the moisture which is coming inside that box. Okay, in order to safeguard that particular electronic equipments, this packets will be added inside that one, so that the silica gel, whatever it is there, since this is a hygroscopic material, so this hygroscopic material, whatever the moisture which is coming inside, it will be just absorbing that moisture content inside that one. So that is what happening in the silica gel. This is called adsorption. So this is also the removal of moisture only from the surrounding, but removal of moisture from the surrounding air or the gas. So, but our concentration is only on the solids, removal of moisture on the solids. So these two are also example, but here our main aim is to study the moisture content of only solid, how it is getting transformed from the initial moisture content of the solid to the final moisture content of the solid. So here a note is provided here, see. So water or other liquids may be removed from solids mechanically by pressing, or centrifuges, or thermally by vaporization. So all three mechanisms are possible, pressing or two mechanisms, pressing or centrifuging, and also thermal evaporation by just flowing some gas on the top of the solids. So out of all this, we are concentrating only on the thermal vaporization of that moisture content from the wet solid. So here only the drying of wet solids using thermal vaporization of moisture is concerned. So only our concern in this chapter, according to our syllabus, is only we are concentrating on drying of wet solids using some suitable thermal mechanism, so that we will supply some thermal energy to it, and that moisture will be coming out as a vapor here. So that is called as a thermal vaporization of moisture from the wet solids. So this is our problem statement here, this one. Is that okay? Catching my point, what I'm trying to say? All these are the drying operations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So this one. So now we will see what are the various types of moisture contents which are there in our solids. Okay, that moisture content, if you see here, so moisture content will be a total moisture content. Then next one coming is the free moisture content, and next one is a bound moisture content. Then next one is the unbound moisture content. Then finally the equilibrium moisture content. What are the definitions of this one? Bound moisture, equilibrium moisture, unbound moisture, free moisture. What is this one? We will see. So types of moistures in wet solid. Types of moisture content in wet solid. So for example, there is a wet solid here. Okay, I'm not saying that is porous or non-porous. So for the time being, just to concentrate, just to take only that is some solid, whether it may be a non-porous or porous, it is irrelevant. To understand the mechanism, it is very, very important. So wet solid means, see, this is wet solid. Wet solid means on top of this one, some water will be there. For example, let us consider this as a wet solid. Okay, on top of this wet solid, since this is completely wet solid, on top of this one, some water content will be there. So, okay, I am taking the blue color, light blue color. So inside this wet solid also, some part of moisture will be occupied. Okay. blue is water, and black is solid. Okay, whether it may be porous or non-porous, that is irrelevant here. Only concentrate on the moisture content inside this one. So this is entire moisture content. So this is water, and this is insoluble solid. So this black color, whatever is there, insoluble. Okay, that is inert solid, completely an inert solid, that is. So now, okay, moisture contents are there. First one we will define what is the total moisture content. So total moisture content, for example, let us say this is denoted by some xt. So total moisture content is nothing but amount of moisture, okay, amount of moisture contained in wet solid, completely wet solid, or we can say completely wet. Amount of moisture content in complete this wet solid is called as a total moisture content. Then next one is, so unbound moisture we will define. Unbound moisture XUB, let's us say XUB this is. So what is this XUB? XUB is nothing but the amount of moisture. Okay, before this I have to say one example. Let us see this one. Okay, this solid we are taking. This is wet solid. So all this is a water content which is occupying the solid, and inside also water content is there. So same example I am taking. So in this solid, what is the meaning of bound and unbound moisture? We will describe this one. So for example, whatever the water which is there inside this one. So for example, a free stream. Okay, let us say one free stream of water. Okay, this is entirely water. Okay, for example, both of this solid and this water stream is maintained at some temperature. T is equal to some 100 degrees centigrades. Both we are taking to some 100 degrees centigrades. We know that water will boil at 100 degrees centigrades. At 100 degrees centigrades, water will starts to boil and vaporize. Here also same, water will starts to boil and vaporize inside this solid. At this reported temperature, this water vapor will have some what we call this water will have some vapor pressure. Okay, PV I am denoting. And after this water vapor is water is getting transformed to the surrounding air. So whatever the vapor which is transforming into this air will be having some partial pressure. Okay, PA, and this is PAV. So this is this vapor pressure is contained only for the liquids. As soon as this liquid is transformed to the surrounding air, so that pressure which is exerted by the vapor of this liquid is called as a partial pressure. So at the 100 degrees centigrade, there should be some vapor pressure. Okay, using the vapor pressure curves we can define. So 100 degrees centigrades means at 1 atma, P is equal to 1 atma only, water will starts to boil. So pressure and temperature will go together. Okay, at T is equal to 100 degrees centigrades, water pressure should be, vapor pressure of water should be 1 atma, or 1 atma is equal to some 760 mmHg. Okay, this is true. This is a valid one. Okay, similarly, in the case of bound moisture or unbound moisture also, see the vapor pressure which is exerted by this water content, whatever the water content in the feed stream, this free stream, is same as the vapor pressure which is exerted by the water content which is there in the solid also. So this is nothing but the unbound moisture is nothing but the moisture in the moisture content in solid that exerts vapor pressure equal to the vapor pressure of liquid water at the same temperature. Okay, here in the liquid water at 100 degrees centigrades, so it has to exhibit this vapor pressure. The same case is whenever the moisture content is present in the as a bound moisture, so that moisture content will exert the same vapor pressure as that of the liquid at the same condition. The T is taking as 100, so this liquid will exert a vapor pressure of 760 mmHg. Similar is the case if the moisture content is in the solid is unbound moisture, then that also will exert a vapor pressure 760 mmHg. If this is exerting 760 mmHg, this will also exert 760 mmHg of vapor pressure only. So the moisture content in solid that exerts vapor pressure equal to the vapor pressure of liquid water at the same temperature condition is called a unbound moisture. So that is called as a unbound moisture. Then next one is, see this one, bound moisture we will define. Third one is bound moisture. Okay, then bound moisture, let us say XB, it is denoted by XB. So bound moisture is nothing but the moisture. Okay, the moisture content in solid that exerts the vapor pressure less than the vapor pressure of liquid water at same temperature. So here in the unbound case, the moisture content in solid that exerts a vapor pressure equal to the vapor pressure of a liquid at liquid water at same temperature is called as a unbound moisture. And bound moisture is nothing but the moisture content in the solid that exerts vapor pressure less than the vapor pressure of the liquid water at same temperature. So why this will happen? So why this will not exert a same vapor pressure as the previous case, like a unbound moisture? So for example, in the bound moisture case, what happens? This is a solid. Okay, this is the solid, and same we are taking. Okay, let us not write this as a wet solid. Consider this as a wet solid. For example, this is a wet solid. Then on top of it, this is one liquid film or water film. So like this water film, and also some water will be present like this inside. Okay, somewhere in the interstices of this solid, the water content will also present like this. Whenever you are supplying some external air to this one, air like this, for example, say let us air is flowing in this direction or whatever it may be, in this direction or in this direction. Okay, air is just flowing, some hot air is flowing. So what happens? This hot air will exchange heat. Okay, it will give the convective heat to the solid. So then this so this is heat transfer will takes place from air to this solid content, and when the heat transfer is taking place, the mass transfer will takes place from this solid surface to the air surface. So mass transfer or nothing but moisture transfer will takes place from this to this one. So whatever the hot air is there, the rate of evaporation of water, the rate of evaporation of water to the air. Here the rate of the evaporation of water is taking place. The rate of evaporation of water is equal to the water content which is present on the surface of the solid. Okay, whenever this water content is present in the form of unbound or in a free form, so same pressure it will be exerted. Whenever that water content is present inside, very deep inside that one, so that water content to come outside from this one, to come outside to the surface. So this water content to come outside to this surface, there are many mechanisms are there. So that mechanism is, one is depending on the solid, whether the solid is porous or whether the solid is non-porous. So if the solid is porous, what happens? If the solid is non-porous, what happens? How easily the water content which is present inside this body, inside this material, will be coming outside. Depending on that only, the operation of that solid, drying of that solid will be dependent. Rate of evaporation of water from the solid surface will be dependent. So rate of evaporation of that bound moisture will be dependent. So for example, let us say this is a non-porous solid. Okay, this is a non-porous solids. If this is a non-porous solids, what happens? This air, whatever the air is there, so this air cannot go like this. Okay, inside it cannot diffuse inside this solid. It cannot go inside. Okay, diffusion will not be possible inside this one. Only thing possible is whatever the moisture content is there, due to the pressure difference or due to the moisture difference outside and inside, this moisture has to come outside. This water content has to come outside like this. So that is called as a diffusion. Due to liquid diffusion, the mechanism of drying is due to liquid diffusion in non-porous solids. The water will be coming outside on the surface. From the outside of the surface, it is once again evaporating into the surrounding air. If this is a porous solid, okay, if this solid is a porous solid, so the replacement, the evaporation of this unbound moisture will take place until how easily the water vapor, the waters are coming to the top from the surface, onto the surface. Okay, depending on that only the evaporation rate will be dependent. Okay, once the porous solid, in this porous solid, the mechanism will be happening is due to diffusion. So liquid diffusion. So liquid has to diffuse from inside to outside. One mechanism is possible, and another mechanism is this air has to go inside from pores. Air will diffuse inside. Okay, air will go inside, and after going inside, this air will vaporize. This air will vaporize. Vapor evaporation will happen, and also vapor diffusion will happen. Whenever this air is going inside, this hot air is going inside like this. If that solid is a porous, so that will have some pores. Because of this pores, this entire air will be going inside, and after going that, wherever the water is there, that will attack this water molecule, and that water molecule will be transformed to the vapor. Then once again, this vapor has to be diffused back to the surrounding air. So that will be creating an unequilibrium. That is called as a vapor diffusion. Due to vapor diffusion also it is possible. Due to diffusion inside that liquid is also possible, and also due to capillary action. Capillary action. If there are very small pores or very tortuous pores, what happens due to interfacial tension? Due to interfacial tension, the water gradient is happening here. So here water content is there, here no water content. So due to this, interfacial tension will be there in between this outside region and the inside regions. Because of this, whatever the water content which is there inside the capillaries will be moving to the outside. So one thing is, liquid will diffuse automatically from the small pores due to the pressure difference or due to the concentration difference, and next one is the air has to diffuse inside and it will just evaporate the water inside that one, and that vapor once again has to diffuse back to the surrounding air. Then next one is due to the capillary action or due to the interfacial tension between this outer region and the inter region. So in the porous solid, this many things can be happening. In the non-porous solids, only by diffusion is happening, but simply we can say it is a diffusion or a liquid diffusion. But what happens in non-porous solids, it is a complex mechanism. In the non-porous solids, how it is coming out, how it is going out, we cannot correlate. But as of the now knowledge, we are saying only due to the liquid diffusion only the drying process in the non-porous solids are possible. So this is what happening inside. So bound moisture, regarding this bound moisture, now I hope you understood what is the bound moisture. Bound moisture is nothing but whatever the moisture content which is present, yeah, in excess of this unbound moisture, and that is situated in deep interstices or deep inside the pores or deep inside the capillaries or deep inside the structure of that particular solids. Okay, that is called as a bound moisture, that is bound with the solid. Okay, unbound means that is very free with the solid. Okay, freely available with the solid. So that is called as a bound moisture. Unbound moisture, if that is not freely available, that is situated inside the interstices of the solid or inside structure of the solid, that moisture is called as a bound moisture. This bound moisture will exert very low vapor pressure compared to the free stream of water. So because of this reason only we are calling that as a bound moisture. Usually this bound moisture will be contained only in the hygroscopic materials only. So due to the presence of this bound moisture only, we are classifying that particular material as a hygroscopic or non-hygroscopic. If the bound moisture is not there, so that particular material is called as a non-hygroscopic material. If the bound moisture is there, so that type of material is called as a hygroscopic material. Okay, is that clear points?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this is the definitions of this bound moistures and unbound moisture. So if you understand this difference, it is very easy. So bound moisture is nothing but due to the presence inside the pores, inside the interstices, that will exert very low vapor pressure compared to the normal vapor pressure of water. So because of this reason, we are calling this as a bound moisture. And unbound moisture is which is very freely available on the surface of the solid or also in the inside pores of the solid. It is very freely available. It can very easily travel to the outside. Okay, that's why we are calling this as a unbound moisture. And also when you are just vaporizing this unbound moisture, that will exert a vapor pressure exactly nearly equal to the vapor pressure of a free stream of liquid. So that is the difference between bound moisture and unbound moisture. The next one is a free moisture. So this fourth one is a free moisture. Free moisture. What is this free moisture? If you notice in the graph itself, in this graph, so this is a bound moisture. Only the small part of the solid, wet solid, will be occupied by the bound moisture, and large part will be occupied by the unbound moisture. So okay, bound moisture will be, large part will be occupied by this bound moisture, and a small part of moisture will be occupied by this unbound moisture. So apart from this equilibrium moisture, whatever the moisture is there, so that is called as a free moisture. So here if you see, this is the total moisture. So right from the initial moisture content to the final moisture, zero moisture content, it is called as a total moisture content. Free moisture content is from initial moisture content to the equilibrium moisture content. So before defining this free moisture content, we have to define what is the equilibrium moisture content. So I am reserving this one, more free moisture content. I have to define that one. Before defining that one, we have to define this one, equilibrium moisture content. equilibrium moisture content. So let us take the same example. Solid content, some water is there, outside some water is there, inside some water is there. Okay, this is occupied by entirely, this is a wet solid, water content is occupying everything. Then outside you are flowing some air. Okay, like this, a free stream of air. Direction is also important. The flow velocity of the air is also very important in the operation of dryers. Okay, this is, for example, air is flowing like this. Air is flowing like this until, okay, according to the conditions of this air should have some temperature and it should have some humidity. Okay, air will have a prevailing conditions of temperature and humidity. At this point of time, at this temperature and humidity conditions, whatever the water vapor that can be absorbed inside this air is nothing but a evaporative drying. Okay, drying, that is called as a drying. So once this air is getting saturated, once this air is getting saturated means it has reached its maximum capacity at this temperature and humidity conditions. Okay, it has reached, according to the humidification chapter, HS, it has reached a saturation point. Okay, complete capacity of this air has been reached. Okay, after reaching this one, the whatever the moisture which is left in the solid, okay, whatever the moisture which is left in the solid is called as a X star, is nothing but a equilibrium moisture content. So under the such condition, so partial vapor pressure, okay, vapor pressure I am denoting like this. Vapor pressure of this water will be equal to, at X star, the vapor pressure of water is equal to the partial pressure of this vapor in the air, surrounding air. So whenever air is transforming into the surrounding atmosphere, so let us say, whenever air, this water vapor is getting transformed to the surrounding air, so due to vapor pressure it is getting transformed. Whenever it is getting transformed here, it is called as a partial pressure. So this partial pressure and the water which is present on the surface of this liquid is having a vapor pressure, PAV, it is having a PAV. So whenever this PAV is equal to this, vapor pressure of the liquid is equal to the partial pressure of vapor in the gas, is called as a equilibrium. So that entire process has been reached equilibrium. So equilibrium means there is no process, it has reached a maximum point and saturation point. Because of this reason, it will not at all undergo further process. Further drying process is not possible until and unless we have replaced this air with a fresh blanket of air. Otherwise, the operation will be stopped there. So at this equilibrium point, operation will stop. Drying operation will stop. So equilibrium. So after reaching this equilibrium process or a saturation process, whatever the moisture content which is left inside this equilibrium, inside this solid, is called as a equilibrium moisture. So at the equilibrium moisture, the necessary condition is partial pressure, vapor pressure of the liquid is equal to the partial pressure of water vapor in the surrounding gas or surrounding air. At that point, the whatever the moisture content left inside the solid is called as a equilibrium moisture content. So now we can define the free moisture. Free moisture is nothing but the difference between the total moisture minus equilibrium moisture. Okay, so the difference between the total moisture content in the wet solid minus equilibrium moisture. Only this free moisture can be removed by drying at the prevailing conditions. Whatever the conditions they are giving, prevailing conditions, only you can remove the free moisture content using the drying process. Okay, if you want to remove this X star also, you have to change the process, you have to advance, you have to change the blanket full of air. Okay, only at the prevailing conditions you can remove only the free moisture content. Apart from this, you cannot remove anything. So free moisture content, and only you can remove it. So this is types of moisture content in this one. The first one is the total moisture content, the amount of moisture content, which is amount of liquid which is contained in the entire solid. Wet solid is called as a total moisture. Then free moisture is total moisture minus equilibrium moisture is called as the free moisture. Then unbound moisture is the moisture content which exerts the vapor pressure nearly equal to the vapor pressure of a liquid water is called as the unbound moisture, and the moisture content which exerts the vapor pressure less than the vapor pressure of a liquid water is called as a bound moisture. And after reaching a saturation point or equilibrium point, whatever the moisture content which is left inside the solid, it is called as a equilibrium moisture content. So this is the definitions of various moisture contents. So how the moisture content can be quantified, we can express in the equation format. I will explain in the next class that one. Okay, so these are the basics. Whatever I just am telling you, all the points are there in the simple point format. I have kept that one. You can verify. Okay, is that clear? Everybody, only one or two people are responding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, in the next class we will continue.